Hi and welcome to a Kirby Maths video on the sine rule, and this time we are going to be finding an angle in a non-right angled triangle. So this is the triangle we are talking about. I've labelled it A, B and C with capital letters, and if you remember from the last video where we were finding the side using the sine rule, we label up the side opposite the angle with a lowercase letter, so that's a little a. Here opposite the side that's a B with a little b, and then the final one, which is more difficult to tell because that's a big C and a little c. In the previous video we noted that this sine rule looks like this: A over sine A is equal to B, little b over sine big B equal to little c over sine big C. Now this was when we were finding a missing side, and the side appeared on the top of the fraction in the sine rule. This time, to make it a bit easier, we're going to turn all three of those fractions upside down because we're trying to find the angle this time. So when we're trying to find the angle, we write the sine rule as sine big A over little a is equal to sine big B over little b, which is equal to sine big C over little c. And this is the one we're going to use when we are finding an angle. Okay, so when we're finding an angle, the angle goes on the top of the sine rule. So let's have a look at an example. Here is our triangle. I fill in some values. This is 3 centimeters, 54 degrees. This is the angle we want to find, and this is 10 centimeters. So I start by labeling my triangle with my capital letters at the angles A, B and C. I then take my pen and label the small letters, which are the sides. So opposite A is little a, opposite B is little b, and opposite C is little c. We don't have an angle at C, we don't have the side at C, we're not using C, so we're just going to concentrate on the A's and the B's. I rewrite this part of my sine rule, and then I'm going to do a substitution after that. So I'm going to use sine big A over little a is equal to sine big B over little b. Remember, the sine is just a button on your calculator, a value stored in your calculator which is associated with an angle. I substitute in the values that are given to me in the question. I don't do any calculations at this stage because the first mark on a question is always for this straight substitution. So the angle at A is 54, so sine 54, and the side A is 10 centimeters over 10 is equal to, we don't know the angle of B, that's x, so sine x over the side length little b, and that is 3 centimeters. We now want to make the sine x a subject of the equation. We do that by timesing both sides by 3. What will happen is that we'll bring this 3 up to the top, and we will have 3 sine 54 over 10 is equal to sine x. Now, if you do this bit on your calculator, it will give you a value. So if you type in a fraction 3 sine 54, opening a bracket, closing a bracket, divided by 10, it will give you a value, a long decimal. You don't need all of it because it's going to be stored on your answer button. So 0.24275 blah 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 blah. Okay, once you've worked that out, you don't touch your calculator, you just press shift and the sign button and equals, shift, sign button, the answer button, and then equals. And what that will do is it will tell you the angle associated with that sine value. So your calculator will look like this. It will have sine -1 ans. You'll press the equal sign and it will tell you that the angle is 14.0 degrees. So that is the angle at B, or our angle X. Finding the angle is just a little tiny bit more tricky than finding a side. If I start again at the top, we just have the sine rule, this time written upside down. We do our substitution, and we then have this value. And it's just this last little stage. This is not the value we're looking for. We need to put this into our calculator and ask our calculator what angle has this sine value. And we do that by pressing Shift, the sine button, then the answer button, because I've already worked that out. Press the equal sign and it will tell you which angle it was that you were trying to find in the question. Thanks for watching.